Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Deer Park Coaches Show. He's Tucker Berger. I'm Jake Snyder. We are here today to recap Deer Park's 27-11 win over Finneytown. Get you ready for Wyoming this week. Tuck, let's jump into it.
Here we go.
All right, Coach. So 27-11, a win's a win, no matter how you stretch it, no matter how you look at it. It wasn't the prettiest game, but at the end of the day, you come away with a victory on the road in a rainy weather. What were your just kind of general takeaways from it?
It's just nice getting back to 500. I think, staying at that 3-3 level is really good for our kids. I mean, any win's good, especially in the CHL. I would have liked us to play a little bit better in the second half. I mean, we came out really hot, and I thought we looked really good in the first two quarters and then just kind of tailed off. But, having some younger guys in some key spots, I think that's just stuff you got to build on and kind of grow with as you get into those games that you're playing that are closer.
Yeah, for sure. Key takeaways from this one, obviously, every time Morgan Brown touches the ball, there's a chance something exciting is going to happen. He has 5 touches in this game. 4 of those carries, 160 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns, a long of 80, another one that was 60 yards, 60-plus yards. Just talk about your freshman for a little bit.
I think it's really nice because he's starting to get a little bit of notoriety around the city. I mean, he's up for 2 Player of the Weeks this week, which is nice. But, he just does things that you just don't coach. I mean, he just has that natural ability once he gets the ball in his hands to make people miss. And, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't shocked. He'd adapt this well and just keep getting better and better as we keep playing these CHL schools. But he does a great job, and it just shows what happens when you show up every day and work.
Yep.
He's never one we have to get on about effort or his attitude or the energy he's bringing. He's the one that's picking guys up, and you just really don't see that too often out of a 14, 15-year-old kid.
For sure. Another young guy, your sophomore quarterback, Tink Sellers. 6 rushes, 83 yards, carries at 13.8 yards a carry. You got to like that. He's 7 for 14 with 80 yards. He had a couple of fumbles, a couple of turnovers with young guys. That happens, and the weather plays a factor in that too, obviously. But I thought for the most part he managed the game pretty well.
Yeah, and I think there's some games where Morgan's stats or some of the other guys' stats might overshadow him. But I think if you go back and look, there were some big moments where he made some big plays. I know we're going to talk about it on here, but there was a 4th down where he scrambled and picked it up and kept a drive alive. Going into that last drive that we had, he looked at me and said, "Hey, let's just ice it. Let's put it away."
Yeah.
And I said, "All right, here we go." And then he rips off about a 60-yard run. So I think you look at the impact he made on the game, and he does a good job of distributing the balls to a bunch of different guys. But then, also when we really need him to make big plays, he was there and he made them.
Perfect. Offensively, you guys ran the ball for 297 yards on 21 carries in this game. I think that says a lot about your offensive line and the way that they played, your receivers blocking on the edges. Big play ability obviously played a huge part in this game. A lot of big plays that we'll look at here in a little bit. But you like when a team that runs triple option runs for almost 300 yards. You got to be happy with that performance.
Oh, yeah. And it didn't feel like it was just one guy dominating the game. Morgan's stats really, really stand out.
Sure.
But, you look through, Isaiah had a few big runs, big carries. Tink had a few big ones. So, it just shows that we still have that ability to spread the ball around. But, those guys up front just work and work and work. It's just them getting better each and every week. And I think with your offensive line, that's something that's just pretty encouraging is
for sure.
Just from where we started against Belmont to where we are now, just them growing and doing those little things that we talk about each week and just kind of improving on those little skills.
Yep. Defensively, you only give up 11 points, including being put in a couple of bad situations, really kind of locking down defensively on a couple of times. But some things to talk about. Isaiah all for 10 solo tackles. Guzman and White each have 8 tackles. You guys had 6 tackles for loss, a couple of sacks in there as well. And then obviously the 2 picks in the second half played a big role. I thought you guys defensively played a pretty all-around good game.
Yeah, and Shoot, I mean, I keep putting my dad and Greg in bad spots. I'm going to start taking them to lunch every week. I mean, just what they're doing is great. And, I mean, they work their butts off throughout the week. And, I mean, they're on the phone constantly talking back and forth about, what the game plan is going to be and what we can do. What can we do to, just adapt from each week. And, I mean, they're constantly just putting and instilling kind of that energy and effort into those guys. And, I mean, it shows. I mean, it seems like every week we have a big fourth down stop.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just the way that we are continuing to keep playing, and, I mean, it just shows that our defense has grown, I think, so much just over this year. And, I mean, I just can't say enough about it because, I mean, 11 points is great. But, I mean, I think my dad did the stats, and I think they might have had the ball 6 times inside the 20.
Yeah.
And, I mean, just to keep bending but not breaking and getting the ball back, I think that just says a lot about how hard the guys are playing now. For
sure. All right, let's look at some film, huh? All right, so we're going to start this thing off with a big-time bang here. This is second drive, 0-0 score at this point. You're coming off of a missed field goal from Finneytown. And this is the very first play of the drive. What's going on here?
Yeah, so, we knew that we just wanted to go away from the triple for a little bit. We tried to run it on that first drive, and nothing really was hitting, so we just decided to go with our speed option, really just eliminate that middle factor and get an extra blocker out there on the edge. And Tink does a good job. That end steps right at him and tries to take him, and he gets the ball out quick to Morgan. But really, I mean, those guys on the outside do a good job of locking on. Kevin right there gets the guy and drives him out of the alley. I think that's EJ running down the middle of the field with him, and EJ just takes off, and he's looking to track to that safety. I mean, just having that guy down there with you. But, I mean, once Morgan gets past you, I don't think there's many guys that are going to catch him.
Yeah, I love seeing that breakaway speed from him once he hits the alley. These weren't bad angles taken by the Finneytown players. He's just faster, and that's what you like to see. Your receivers definitely deserve a little bit of shine here on this play for picking up those blocks on the outside. That alley opens up real wide. Morgan's going to get a lot of the credit, and well-deserved, obviously. But at the end of the day, if there's nowhere to run, and that's a hole that a lot of guys can get through.
Oh, yeah, and I know we talked about this earlier. His third touchdown run might be the best one he had.
Yeah.
And it's not on the film, but, I mean, even on that one, EJ and Kevin, I know they both pancaked 2 guys. And, I mean, that was really the thing that stuck out is those guys might not always get the touches that they probably deserve.
Yeah.
But, I mean, they just continue to work and work and work, and I think it just shows.
For sure. All right, we're going to jump ahead here. This play isn't like, a 40-yard, 50-yard, 60-yard touchdown, but I like sprinkling these in here. One, because, like you said, a couple of these guys deserve, some recognition and being talked about for sure. And 2, sometimes the simple things are things you got to do right in different games where maybe you're not going to have the explosive plays. We talked about it with Indian Hill a lot last week, is they're not going to give you the big plays. So you got to do the small things right. And so this 17-yard catch from Riley McHugh, I thought quarterback did a nice job here getting outside of the, kind of giving himself a throwing window. Riley runs a nice route, makes a nice catch. Good play.
Yeah, and we knew the corners were going to bail a little bit, so we knew the hitch would be open. Tink does a good job of just getting a little bit of space, and he puts it right on him. And, I mean, Riley after the catch is great. I mean, he's just fighting for all those yards. And, I mean, he did it the week before, too, against Indian Hill. He caught a simple hitch and got the first down. So, I mean, those are things we stressed during the week is, first you got to catch the ball. And, we were lucky that hurricane wasn't hitting in the middle of the game. But, I think it just really helped that, we had an emphasis on just catching it first.
Yep.
And then once that happens, I mean, our guys are just athletes, so they do what they do with the ball.
Yeah, I thought he worked back to the ball really nicely here. Runs a pretty good route. Like you said, really those 5-yard that turn into 17 yards in this case, those are so important. Of just sometimes you just got to get the ball on the outside into space, and that's just, again, we've talked about it so many times, just another option that you have. Just a couple plays later here, this is one of another guy that, maybe doesn't get as many touches as he probably should, but when you have this many players, it is what it is. So, yeah, this is Alfred's going to take this one for a handful of yards here. Nice run by Isaiah.
Yeah, and, you don't get the beginning of the play, but he does a good job of shaking off that first level.
Yep.
Makes a good move, and, I mean, he's much more elusive than you can imagine. You know, once you get out there with him, you don't really expect it. But I mean, that just shows another guy that we have that doesn't always pop off in the box score.
Yep.
But I mean, when he makes plays like this, it just shows you kind of the depth of our offense. Really wish he would have got in. And I mean, I was joking with him yesterday about it. Like, man, what are you gonna do? Run 36 yards? You couldn't get that extra one.
Yep.
But I mean, he deserves a place like this. I mean, he shows up and he works, and I mean, he's been a guy that's grinded for 4 years just to kind of get to this spot. And I mean, I know the past few years have been tough because you got a 6 foot, 250-pound guy in front of you.
Yep.
So I think he's doing a great job right now of taking the opportunity and making plays.
Yeah, and this is, he's wrapped up for maybe a yard or two gain right here, and you see it right at the beginning of where the clip starts. Really breaks the tackle on the inside. Offensive line's doing their job. Outside, they're doing their job. Just a really good play all around, I thought. Wanted to call that one out. So now we're going to jump ahead to defensive side of the ball. And this is the fourth down stop you were talking about earlier. Yeah. This is a pretty big moment in this game right now. Still pretty early. It's 4th and 1. It was a play where we thought they might have gotten the first down on the play before. He stepped out of bounds just before it. So it's a huge momentum swing as things go on here. So just talk me through this one.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I think our interior line is one of our strengths. And I mean, that's just Lucas being Lucas.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there's many guys in the league that are going to be able to block him one-on-one. He does a good job of getting that inside pressure. I mean, we knew when they went to the eye, we were going to see a lot of just stuff up the middle. It was either going to be a low power, it was going to be a stretch. And, I mean, he does a good job of beating his man inside and just making the play.
Yeah, you got to get penetration on those fourth down plays. Got to get pushed from the front. And, like you said, he does a great job. There's a couple of guys there who are going to make that play probably. So really like that in a huge moment. Great to get a crucial stop there. We're going to flip it to the other side now, and this is, again, just a couple plays later, and we talked about this one a little bit before, but talk me through this play. This is 4th and 11 here at your 50. You don't want to turn the ball over right here. Talk me through this play.
So, I mean, he does a good job not forcing the ball. I mean, he's looking to throw that ball to Kevin. We just knew Kevin would have, one-on-one out there on the deep ball, and I mean, we trust Kevin to run by guys. But Pocket kind of breaks down, and then Tink he becomes an athlete. I mean, makes a guy miss and picks up the first down. I mean, those are the plays that you don't see in the box score.
Yep.
But, watching the game, it's like, man, that's a big one because it keeps the drive alive. It keeps us with the ball in our hands. It keeps them off the field.
For sure.
So, I mean, just extending those drives and him being able to do these dual threat things like that really just makes our offense that much better.
Yeah, definitely. All right, we're going to jump ahead into the second half here. And this is one, we're kind of spreading the wealth in this one. I really like this play from EJ. He's going to take this one 43 yards. Really nice play design on that little jet, and EJ just kind of does the rest there.
Yeah, and I think EJ does a really good job of reading the blocks. I mean, there's some guys that would just keep trying to stretch that, but as soon as he sees that guy go out, he just gets vertical. Once he gets vertical, I mean, he's so quick.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's just so tough to tackle because he's that elusive. And, I mean, you see guys just diving around him, and it's not like he's making moves on him. He's just running. But, I mean, he does a good job, and, he's another guy that probably deserves the ball a little bit more than he does, but, I mean, we've seen on the past 3 or 4 weeks when he gets the ball, something explosive happens.
Yep.
But, I mean, that's just a good job by one of our leaders just making a big play. And, I mean, this is I probably think it's the third quarter.
Yeah.
And, I mean, our offense really hadn't done a whole lot at this point, so we needed some extended drives. And, I mean, that's just a really big play by him.
All right, we're going to take a look at your 2 interceptions back-to-back here. They actually only happened 6 plays apart, which is pretty crazy. Yeah. Not really how you want to think 2 interceptions are going to go, but really nice job from your guys here. Again, in the red zone here, you need turnovers to happen in plays like this. If they score here, at this point it's 27-8, they start creeping back in. It's still only, there's still time left in this game. Nice job here from Jaden Moore to just make a play.
Yeah, and I mean, he does a good job of reading the quarterback's eyes in the roll. So, I mean, he doesn't press too much. He knows we got a guy coming down. So So he stays over the top, and once he sees the ball, I mean, he just goes, and I mean, that's just a good, smart play. He gets the feet in bounds.
2 feet down, I think, also.
Yeah. And I mean, I can't say enough about him. I mean, defensively, he's just gotten so much better from week to week, and I think this is probably the best game he's played. I mean, he did a good job of filling holes all game. He was making big plays, big tackles.
Yep.
Really just being the leader of our defense. And I think this is one right here. You know, he might not always get the interceptions or, you know, those highlight plays, but this is just a clutch play. We needed to just get us right back in the game and get the ball back in our hands.
Worth talking about in this one as well. You can't pressure is sometimes what makes these mistake plays happen, and so really nice job here. I think that's McHugh that forces the back-footed throw, makes him make the mistake there. So nice pressure by your defense as well on that play.
Yeah.
All right, second one is this one's really going to be kind of the end of the game. These next two plays, they're going to happen back-to-back here. It's going to start with Morgan grabbing an interception on a deep ball here. Talk me through this one.
Yeah, and I mean, he does a good job of reading it. You know, he's reading 2 and 1, and he sees that ball go up, makes a good play. I still don't believe he stepped out of bounds. And I don't know how the ref in the middle of the field blows his whistle on that, but that's a conversation for another time. But you know, that's just another one of our captains and another one of our leaders making a big play at a big moment. I mean, we knew 2-score game. They could have got back into it. You know, they're on their side of the 50 going in, and it seems like every week one of our leaders is making a big play.
Yep.
And I mean, I think that's just a sign that we are improving as a team. We're getting better. Is that we just have guys stepping up and making those clutch plays. It's, you know, they're not shying away from the moment. I think right now they're really just putting it on their chest and saying, you know, I want to make the play. I want to be the guy.
Perfect time to jump to this next play because this really is the play that ends this game for all intents and purposes. And you alluded to it earlier, but Tink puts this one on his back and says, let me finish this one off. So walk me through this one.
Yeah, and, you know, we were just trying to get him the ball in his hands and let him be an athlete. And, you know, they blow it up, but, you know, he was an athlete. And he does a good job of just reversing field. And once he reverses field and there's no one there, then it turns into a foot race. I mean, they got a decent angle on him on the backside, so you know he doesn't break it for that long touchdown. You know we're necessarily hoping for, but I mean we'll take a 60-yard gain to really just put a bow on the game. He was tackled late out of bounds, and the guy on our sideline may not have called it, and it might have taken some choice words and the guy in the middle to throw it. But you know I think that's just a good job of him. You know, just like what I said. I mean he wanted the ball in his hands. You know, he wanted to ice the game, and he did.
Yep.
And I think that's just effort on that play. I mean, we didn't block it particularly well, but he's just being Tink and being an athlete and making a play.
Yeah, sometimes you just need your athletes to be athletes, and that's just what it's going to be. And you look at that at every single level. It's not every play is run perfectly, and to take that what probably should have been a 5-6 yard loss. And a big momentum swing at that moment and really put the game on ice. Gotta love that from your quarterback. So, all right, turn it over to next week. We're back home. That's the exciting part. The downside is we know who's standing across the sidelines from us, and it's 6-0 Wyoming, 3-0 in the CHL. This team's lost one CHL game in the last decade. You know, it is what it is. They're a great football team. Happen to be your alma mater as well. What do you look for coming into a game like this where you know just from a perspective, from a numbers-wise, from a size-wise, from a pedigree-wise, those things don't turn in your favor right now. What's the message to your guys as you get ready for this week?
I think it's all about mindset. You know, it's realizing that you have an opportunity to do something that really hasn't happened in a while.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think just developing that belief and really these are weeks where you can rally together and really become a team. You know, I've told them throughout the week it's not going to be one guy that's going to win the game. It's not going to be 80-yard plays we're busting that. It's going to win the game. We're going to have to play a clean game for 60 minutes Is it 60 minutes? Is it 40? It might be 48. I think it's 48.
Yeah, 48. You're right. 12-minute quarters.
Well, hopefully we don't go into overtime. But I mean, we're gonna have to play, and I mean, you don't beat state level teams being individuals, and I think that's really what these guys have to realize is if we're gonna win this game, we got to come together, we got to play as one, and we just got to do the little things right.
Yeah, and you've got 2 home games left here on the schedule, 2 more on the road. I think one thing that you want from your guys is to just enjoy these moments, right? Especially your seniors. You know, there's only 2 more times that they get to walk out of those stands and run out onto their home field. You know, like you said, those moments are big, not just from a perspective of football, but just from you as a person. And so I think that's a big part of what this means. And you know, like I said, pedigree-wise, you know, we know what's supposed to happen. But at the end of the day, we're going to go out and play football for 48 minutes and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, you show up and play. If you guys go out there, you give 110%, you play to the best of your ability, I can't say anything.
Yep. All right, Coach. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Deer Park Coaches Show. As always, follow us on YouTube. Game will be streamed live there. If you can't make it out, we'd love to see you out on Friday night. It's band night this weekend, so we'll be recognizing our band seniors at halftime of the game. Obviously, giving them their recognition for all the hard work. They've got some big moments coming up in their season as well here. You can always listen to us on Spotify, Apple Music, or iHeartRadio. Watch us on YouTube every Thursday night at 6. So that's going to do it. He's Tucker Berger. I'm Jake Snyder, and we will see you, as always, on Friday night.